Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. We are joined here today for the eulogy of Netflix. No, I'm just like Netflix. Netflix, as we know, pulled out of the Warner Brothers deal. They had a spark when it started, but now they pulled out. Paramount um, presented the deal to Warner Brothers. They have officially signed the deal for the takeover of Warner Brothers as well. And of course, when we're talking business, always joined by Julez here. Follow her on Twitter as well. You see the handle. Julez, the deal is now official. Netflix has pulled out. We talked about it a week before it actually happened. We said Netflix should have pulled out, so we're kind of prophetic. And so they did. What's your thoughts just where we're standing now that a deal is made? It still has to close, but Paramount is looking to own Warner Brothers.
Yeah, let's just say what it is, right? We were on the right track. This is why you do not count your chickens before they hatch, right? Netflix came out with this huge campaign that they're owners now of Warner Brothers and blah blah blah. Sent emails to all these accounts. You got normies acting or thinking that it's a done deal. Netflix is going to own Warner Brothers and all these IPs. Well, now that didn't happen. Paramount is now the only runner to get WBD. They had the superior bid from the jump. We knew this. We covered this. We didn't know why people weren't asking the right questions. Sorry, I'm getting a text. But finally somebody did. Somebody was like, hey, let's start looking deeper into this Paramount deal. And it came out that, you know what, their offer was actually the better one, which caused Netflix to change their offer to all cash. Me and Seal did some digging after our stream last week, and we saw Netflix may not have all that money, which now we know why that stock price was dropping. Needless to say, now Paramount upped their bid just a little bit, but enough where Netflix was, hesitant to continue, and then they ended up pulling out. So, and then they came out $2.8 billion richer. So, good on them. All the shareholders are happy now. So, let's go.
It should have, like you said, people wasn't asking the right questions, and then started asking the right questions with the Netflix deal. When we started looking at just the finances, behind it, seeing that the Netflix stock dropped so hard, I thought that was a telltale thing last week. We were like, okay, this isn't healthy for the Netflix business, to jump from he was like a 107 per share down to 75 in a couple months. The investors did not like the Netflix deal, trying to buy Warner Brothers, and I think a lot of it was because it wasn't Netflix lane. I don't even think they belonged owning a legacy theatrical studio.
Not only that, but people aren't really paying attention to what the creators actually want. They have been very vocal that they do not want Netflix to own any major movie studio. That would be the death of cinema, basically. So I don't understand what people are crying about. Those who actually are on the side of cinema or of a creators in general, you guys should be happy about this. We won. It's I don't understand.
We talked about Hollywood. The Directors Guild came out. Christopher Nolan made a statement saying, hey, I don't trust them. James Cameron. Well, again, I don't know how it could be normalized to hate on James Cameron. If you're a moviegoer, I don't know what your problem is. And again, we know it's about business. But yes, you want to save the cinema structure, obviously. But you were messing with Hollywood's money, and that's what that was all about. And now when we say saving, because people are attacking this now that, will Paramount really save theaters? Well, I know they're going to do it better than Netflix. I do know that for sure. And I'm going to hold David Ellison and Paramount Skydance to this, that you're promising 30 movies a year. They do have to deliver that or very close to it, Jules, because that is going to be some easy criticism if they don't hold.
Absolutely. And I think it's something that's totally doable for them, because it's if it's 15 movies from Paramount and then 15 movies coming from WB, I don't see why that would be a problem. I mean, how many movies did WB have on the slate this year? I think it was around that number, right? So
yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's doable. And it's just we've had a lot of hollow promises that Netflix was talking some nonsense. They were walking back the theatrical window, then saying, no, we didn't do it. So it was a lot of funny time there. So just Paramount, we just need y'all to, just follow through, and it won't be too many issues there. But as far as wrapping up the Netflix side of this, why did they lose? The investors didn't like the deal. People could lose their jobs over there if the stocks fall that hard, and if it would have stayed down, you're talking about potentially, billions of dollars.
Not only that, I don't think people really understand the risk involved with being a public company and having an IPO. You no longer own your own company. The shareholders own your company, and if that stock price drops to like single digits, that's a full-on collapse. Like, okay, we might not want Netflix to own a major movie studio, but do we also want them to collapse and go out of business? No. So what are we doing here?
Hey, I like, again, the lane. That's the lesson that I learned from this is stay in your lane. Netflix, you have your lane as a streaming giant, over 320 million subscribers worldwide and growing. Keep doing what y'all doing. They get into live sports, entertainment, comedy shows, all kinds of stuff. They across the board. Netflix they can license these films from Paramount in the future, so that you can still get the same type of content. Right. Just stay in your lane and just keep doing that. What you're doing, Netflix.
Right
now, we gotta. We have to, because I pride myself, Julez, on after about 6 years of doing this now, is that I like to see the big picture. Right, I could be biased. Y'all seen it before, but I like to, get all the angles of these stories, and sometimes Julez hates it when I, consider other things. But
not that you're considerate. It's just that I know you're. I don't know how to put this. You're not being 100% genuine in your feelings.
But I have a range of feelings. But it's not about me right now, Julez. It's about Netflix, and this is an interesting angle. Outside of, again, the investors not liking the deal, Netflix not really being built for for Hollywood, for the theatrical business, but also too, the antitrust regulatory process. That was one of the main reasons I think, this was derailed as well too. We can't be naive to not know that's probably why it was going to get blocked anyway if Netflix tried to continue with this.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's lobbying in politics in the White House has been going on for years. It didn't just start now just because Trump's in the office or whoever might be in the White House, in the Oval Office. This has been going on with Obama. It happened with Biden, it happened with Clinton, it happened with Bush. It goes back to whenever they allowed lobbying to exist, right? Because at one point it was banned. So of course, Ellison is his boy. They kind of almost every single news network is left leaning. Outside of Fox is the only major one that's right leaning. CNN is supposed to be neutral, but we know that's not the case anymore. So yeah, of course, if the conservatives are going to want more of a neutral playground or a balanced battlefield, right? Because right now it's not. So I honestly don't care. I don't lean left or right. I just stay in the middle and I just observe what's happening and I just make my judgments from there. And I feel like a lot more people are leaning in that direction. But then you, of course, have those people that are extremely the vocal minority that they're just obnoxious and they feel like they need to get their feelings out there and spread the word like it's gospel because that's just how they feel and they're all in their emotions. I don't care about that. The Ellisons, they're boys with Trump. At the end of the day, there was a regulatory issue, just looking at it from a non-biased perspective, with Netflix owning this movie studio with the whole subscriber situation or whatever. They can try to compare themselves to YouTube all they want, but at the same time, YouTube is a creator platform, right? They don't actually make original content, whereas Netflix does. So yeah, there is some type of issue when you try to combine the two. And at the end of the day, Disney already set the stage here. I keep saying Netflix. Disney bought Pixar. They bought Lucasfilm, and then they bought 20th Century Fox, a juggernaut. We all thought, no, that's going to get shut down. There's no way that's going to happen. And guess what? The regulators let it go through. So Paramount buying WBD is almost the exact same thing. If they didn't shut down Disney buying all those other companies, then they have no argument from allowing Paramount to buy WBD.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so, yeah, if it was some some partisan leaning in this. That is a factor. And with Netflix overall right now, that I think that's the main reason why they pulled out, was that they knew there's going to be a crazy regulatory process. Ted Sarandos, co-head of Netflix, co-CEO, he tried to meet with President Trump, and Trump didn't even show up for the meeting.
He got ghosted, yeah.
So it's like, and then while he was at the White House, while Sarandos was at the White House, Warner Brothers announced, Paramount is a superior deal. Netflix, you got 4 business days, and Sarandos pretty much just called it immediately. It was like, okay, this ain't working. Like,
I mean, look, they looked at their options: either go through this crazy regulatory battle, get into a bidding war with Paramount, who, people like to say that Netflix has deeper pockets, but they don't have deeper pockets than the Ellisons. And Netflix, in order for them to go into their pockets, they would have to sell a bunch of their shares in order to make. And they're not trying to go down that route. There's only so much debt that they can take on that's reasonable. So yeah, it made way more sense for them to just be like, you know what? There's a buyout clause in here. Paramount's going to give us nearly $3 billion. We can use it to create more content or do whatever, get nice bonuses, which, the part of that is going to go into their pockets. So that was a smart decision. They became $3 billion richer as a company, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, and like I said, Netflix definitely, is a viable company. I mean, I don't think no one, right, is denying that. Could Netflix afford this? Of course they could.
Yeah.
But again, everyone borrows in these deals, and that's the one. It was a few misconceptions out there. People's like, well, Netflix is worth this, and they can just like, well, no, that's really not how this works. First, if you're going to continue to be a viable company or a billionaire, you're not going to just use all your money. You're going to have either borrow from people or have other investors come in. Netflix largely borrowed, actually, for this for the $82 billion deal.
Yep.
And Paramount, they definitely borrowed, but also they had other investors that bought in to this package. So there's just 2 different ways of doing it, and both sides, was able to afford it if they were going to go through with it. So like I said, I know there's people have their preferences and stuff like that. But as far as, again, just wrapping up the Netflix, the politics of this, people worrying about David Ellison, head of Paramount, Skydance, he's close with Trump, so that's going to be a problem for movies. Like, one of the dumbest comments I saw out there was, oh, if David Ellison buys Warner Brothers, you'll never get a movie like Sinners again. I'm like, bro.
Sinners?
I'm like, okay, come on now. So because David Ellison, something, I guess, leans a certain way politically, that he is going to purposely not make movies with Black people? Is that what we're saying?
Because first of all, this is the same studio that created the current Star Trek, which is known in some circles or referred to as some circles to being a complete DEI production, right? You don't have, there's not one white man in sight, one straight white man in sight. Not even one of the aliens, I don't think, especially not in a leadership capacity or role on that show. This is from Paramount, from David Ellison himself. Like, he could have said, no, we don't want this. If he allowed something that woke on his streamer or on his network to be produced and something as big as an IP as Star Trek, then that's a moot point, because it's obviously not happening. He's not going to be like this conservative tyrant, with the film studios, not allowing creators to do their thing.
And just his track record, even from there, because one thing people would try to push back is like, well, he's just newly integrating with Skydance and Paramount, and I'll give people that argument. But if you go even further back with Skydance, just before they bought Paramount, right? David Ellison was producing films like Terminator: Dark Fate, which is people say is the wokest Terminator film ever,
right?
Where, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, he was investing in things that was, again, for different demographics, different backgrounds. Of course, the Mission Impossibles was more universal. Some of the Star Trek films as well. Top Gun Maverick, I mean, yeah, he hit the jackpot with that as a producer again. So wide range of stuff. I expect him to do the same thing with more IPs. Now,
one thing, yeah, sorry, not to cut you off, but one thing that I did see online was that people kind of put him in the same bucket as his father, Larry, who is known to be like super conservative. It is apparently in their close-knit circles, it's known that David leans more in the center versus his father, who's way more right-leaning. Obviously, with things happening now with the current administration and all that, people are assuming that he's going to start leaning more towards the right. But it seems like in his general proposition is he's more center aligned, which shows in his work clearly. So I think people are just making a big, stink out of this just for the engagement and just for the fear mongering, which is what we've come accustomed to, unfortunately, in recent times.
Because again, if I looked at his record, David Ellison's record, and again, like you said, we're not talking about his daddy. People get so caught up in this. As far as Trump and David Ellison, there's really not much of a relationship. No. They keep thinking of Larry Ellison. Trump was kind of chumping David Ellison at first, like, hey, we really ain't that close. He said that Trump said this publicly, like, I really ain't that close with him. So he had to earn this in a way, of course. But the point is, looking at David Ellison's track record, he's going to apply a wide range of different entertainment, and I don't see him just drastically making like some far right type of film. He's never done it before, and all he was doing was investing in stuff that he thought would be successful. And I think he's going to bring that. He's still starting to cook up with Paramount. He just got there. They just merged. A year or two ago, right? So when that gets off the ground, you'll start seeing the type of films, and then you add Warner Brothers. I'm not worried at all about, he's going to make some political. I'm not worried about David Ellison and that. And the final thing, because I wanted to address it like this, because I'm going, some of the viewers expressed different concerns about Paramount. And so I want to lay out perfectly what we're seeing so y'all can see for yourselves. But then people say, okay, that's cool. The movies and stuff, Syl and Julez. Okay, maybe y'all have a point with that. But what about CNN, which people are trying to center this into? What if CNN, they push the coverage, further, away from what is CNN's like really a diverse crap show. I'm just gonna tell you,
it is. It's not what it used to be.
It's a mess.
Like I mentioned earlier, CNN used to be known as like the non-biased, nonpartisan, like neutral ground for all political parties. That's definitely not the case anymore. They've gone so far towards the left. They have that one Republican, what's his name, Scott Jennings, on a panel full of Democrats, just that they basically just rage bait him the entire time. And that's basically the entire network now. So
it's hard to watch that.
God forbid they move a little bit closer back to the middle, which is where the country is moving in general.
Now, that show with Scott, it's one of the worst watches on TV. It really is, because everyone's biased. Now, Scott Jennings, he's fighting for his life, but he's getting paid really well.
I hope he's getting paid well.
He's getting paid really well to go through that crap. But it's like it's just a crap. It's a crap show watching CNN. So, like you said, what if they at that table? Sometimes it just be one conservative surrounded by like five. A couple of them progressive, but they're all leaning left.
Whatever, they're leftist, they're Democrat, whatever they want to call themselves.
Right, and that's not entertaining to me. Like, what if there were two more conservatives up there? Then you have like a more 2-on-2 type conversation.
Level the playing field a little bit. What's wrong with that? Why can't we have open debate and open discussion? We're millennials, right? We grew up debating in school, in class. We learned how to debate, how to think about different perspectives. That's what you're all about with this channel. You're looking at all sides, and then you come up to your own conclusion. That's how we're supposed to be as human beings. Like, we're supposed to think critically and be objective. That's been taken away from society in the last, 15, 20 years? It's completely eroded people's minds. That now it's like, if you don't agree with me, then you're evil, you're the demon, and every name under the book, under the sun. Like, that's not right. So I don't care.
So like you said, God forbid, CNN, they're going to shift a little further to the center. And hey, if they do end up going a little more right, has that ever happened before in news history? That's what, Fox News, right?
Probably not if for like most major networks to move to the right leaning, probably not since like early 1900s, right? Like when before the civil rights stuff happened and things changed.
Well, but just like currently, there is we know there's a right-leaning major news network right now.
One out of what? News. There's like 6
and
networks.
This is my point. Is that, okay, oh goodness, if CNN starts leaning that way, then we're going to have 2, and that's going to be the word. Like, what? Like, we already see that it exists and it can happen, but the predominant media coverage is vastly leaning left overall. Is that fair?
Right.
I mean, I'm just saying, if we're talking about what's being fair, right? So what this isn't, as far as us viewers and just us ordinary people just watching TV and sharing our opinions on social media. That's not who's really making a fuss about this. It's the left-leaning media that's kicking and screaming about CNN potentially, getting steered center, or God forbid they have a conservative mind or programs after that. I don't care. That's really my point.
I already said I don't care.
I want to talk to just to see the different sides of that, but I don't care about CNN, because I see a lot of people saying, well, I wanted Netflix to win because I didn't want Paramount to get CNN. I don't care.
Look, okay? Your priorities are a hot mess.
I'm just saying.
That's what you're judging things on.
Yeah, but I just wanted to address that because I got a few questions on that, and I do respect people's feedback and and everything like that. But I'm going to give my opinion, and this is not what's going to hold me up on this Paramount thing. It's like, CNN. I don't watch CNN, so I actually don't care what's going to happen to CNN
unless it's the presidential debates and the where they're using that chart or whatever, the map, right? Those entertaining. I think they have the best one. But outside of presidential season, I'm not watching CNN.
Yeah. So that is what it is. But again, we'll just give our final respects to Netflix attempt to get Warner Brothers. It is now deaded.
Right. I mean, they got a lot of publicity out of it, so good for them.
Yeah, and like you said, they got a couple billion as well.
Can't be mad about that.
So they do your thing. But we move forward, and again, Netflix. I'm looking forward to what Netflix does. I continue to look at their stuff, but they just wasn't built for this. Paramount, as after the deal was officially signed with Warner Bros. Discovery, they came out with a press release. Again, they're getting Warner Bros. Discovery for $111 billion overall. We kind of touched on the investments with this because as far as we know, all these companies, again, they borrow from banks, and that's going to add obviously to the debt, when you get this company. But what Paramount did, which is, I think, very smart in business, that you have other people buy in. Just like when people make films, when you see all those executive producers and producers, those are people putting money for the budget of the film.
It's called equity financing, for those who don't understand the terminology.
So with that, you're smarter if you actually have more people having a piece of it overall, because less risk and less debt that you're just saddled with. Yep. It's a collective thing, right? So Paramount was smart with the package. What's your thoughts? Because I meant to touch on this briefly. People will worry. I see, again, I'm looking at people's concerns. I'm trying to address it. Okay, you got the banks. I think Paramount is getting like about over $50 billion, just like Netflix was doing too, from borrowing from banks to pay for this. We talked about Daddy Ellison. He's getting over $40 billion plus. The man's worth $200 billion, and he's like, "Son, I'm gonna set you up for life." Okay, you're already set for life.
I mean, it's a legacy thing at this point.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "I want to make sure the kids, it's set up." So Daddy Ellison went into the chest and brought out $40 billion. Okay, here you go.
Here you go, baby David.
Here you go, young Ellison. But also a part of this deal is the sovereign nations. People are expressing, I see people expressing concerns that, oh man, this is for a legacy American movie studio, Warner Brothers, and you're allowing foreign investors. I believe they're going to add up to about 20 billion. I believe. I know it's under 30. That's the threshold, I believe. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think? I mean, do you think that's a rightful concern, or what is your thoughts?
I mean, I understand the concern. Obviously, as Americans, we are, especially in this day and age, are very cognizant of foreigners coming in and taking our stuff. But at the same time,
I'm mad how you said that.
this is just business. This is normal in business. It's not like they're going to have. So I think you mentioned this on a previous stream that you had. They're a minority owner, which means they really have no real say. They can give their opinions, but it's the majority owners who have to take those take those opinions and implement them. They can just say, okay, yeah, we'll take that under advisement and not do shit, right? Like they don't actually have to take their word for, as rule of law. And that's the beauty of having minority investors. Like they give you their money and they get their, and whatever their margins are in return as far as an investment. And that's it. Now, I believe they do have some kind of agreement where they might be able to have control of certain IPs and things like that. But as far as from like a company standpoint, a business standpoint, they're not majority owners and they don't really have a big say in any of the operations. But again, people want to cry about this with cinema. Meanwhile, you have China buying up all this farmland in the country, but no one wants to make a big deal about that, which I think our food supply is probably more important than our entertainment supply.
Right. And I think you nailed it as far as the minority stake. And you're actually Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, they're collectively putting in 24 billion, which is not
20%.
meeting the threshold. Yeah, 24 billion. So it's 20%. So it's not going to trigger any national security
audits,
audits and things like that. It may have some scrutiny, and I think it's kind of like an ignorance of global business now. I don't think people are realizing, once we open up these internets and everyone was on Zoom and things like that, you're connecting with people around the world, and business is being done more like this, the cryptocurrency and things like that. So this is how business is actually done. So you're not going to turn down 24 billion just because they're from another country. That's one thing, but also two, minority stake. No, they're not going to have any visibleness of the board or anything. Like they're not going to determine anything with this company. What they are going to do is first get their foot in more business, global business, especially the Saudis. They had WWE out there. They're going to have several events out there in Saudi Arabia. Now, if you don't like their politics and stance, okay, we're talking about entertainment right now. This is what we're talking about, and that's what I'm going to stay on. But they're not going to make any choices to, like I said, steer Warner Brothers over to Saudi Arabia. They're not going to move it over there or anything like that.
No, they can't.
And also, as far as them being able to use IP, per the terms of the deal, which I'll probably break down again in the future, the leaked deal came out and they are able to use one of the Warner Brothers IPs and be able to fund and shoot a film either out there or have a world premiere in different areas as well. So it's part of the deal that they are allowed to use an IP, but they can't just take over the IP themselves. They are, able to use it, and Paramount will have to agree,
right. Whatever happens, Paramount has to agree, because that's
the point.
That's the whole point of having majority ownership stake. And also people have to understand, like, American entertainment is a global thing. Like we talk about box offices all the time. We don't only talk about domestic box office. China box office is a big thing. We look at Europe, we look at Latin America, the Middle East is another market. So of course the rich people in those areas are going to look to investing into American companies, American entities, because the profits are there, right? Like people, every other country in the world, like so many people hate America because they feel like, we run shit, but we kind of do. So I'm sorry. It is what it is.
Right.
Consuming our products. Like, I don't know what you want to say. Don't be hating because we got it over here.
Yeah, because we popping.
Right.
But and like I said, just overall, this was smart business by Paramount. I found it confusing. People were caught up on these different investors like they'd never seen a business deal before. Like this is how business is done.
Everybody's a Wall Street expert now. They watch Fox Business News and all those other channels and all those other people that talk about credit scores and all that. Oh, they're experts now. They know everything.
And hey, like some of these aspects of this deal, I'm gonna be quite honest. I'm like, again, just like the CNN thing. I actually don't care. We know they can afford it. I want to know what they're gonna do. What they're gonna do with these IPs. That's what I want to know. You know what I mean? We know they can afford it. I'm not counting anybody's pockets out here. And that's where I stand with that. But the fact that the Saudis are bought into this, that's our link to again, when we talk SnyderVerse, because we really have a real shot.
People also don't understand, like, if you have the Arab money in this, right? And it's one thing, like they can only fund so much of the actual company itself, but it doesn't mean that they can't fund individual projects. So now you have like an endless supply of funding to make whatever movie you want. If they think that it's a good idea, a good movie, they'll invest into it. They don't have to rely on other American studios to like fund projects. Like they just go to their partners like, hey, are you guys interested in this? Like, we're about to do X, Y, and Z, and this is the market and the demographics, blah blah blah. Unlimited funding.
Yeah, you raised something in my mind when you just said that with, again, the Saudis, because I'm obviously honing more in on the Saudi Arabia instead of the other Arab nations, because again, the connection of Zack Snyder to Saudi Arabia. Okay, they're invested in Paramount, or in the Warner Brothers deal. Let me make this clear. They're invested in the Warner Brothers deal. They will be able to use one of the IPs, but then also too, like you said, the Saudis, they have their own movie studio. They just launched it, I think, last year, Playmaker Studios. What if, since they're in business with Paramount, saying, okay, we're going to use one IP with y'all, and then maybe we can license something else to our Playmaker Studios as well. I'm just throwing a scenario out there, is that, they're like, okay, we got that one film, just one IP, we may want to do multiple IPs, and then, y'all can license this over here. It's a lot of potential with their connection there.
Which you would not have had that type of unlimited funding if Netflix were to have won this bid. And just going back to your point, how many times do we go watch a movie and then the starting credits, we see like 5 different studios mentioned that funded this movie? It's the same thing if they were to go to the Saudis or to people from Qatar or whoever to fund a movie. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter who the studio is. It just, they're just funding it, right?
Yeah.
So again, just unlimited funding, which again will go back to shoring up that 30 movie cinematic releases that David Ellison has been touting. Like, yeah, that's totally doable. Like, we got everybody in part of this deal has super deep pockets. These are mega billionaires we're dealing with.
Exactly. So, and again, him throwing out that 30 films a year, I want to hold him to that, but I think it's definitely doable. Definitely doable. That he could do that. So a lot of potential. Like, people wasn't probably taking the Saudi angle as seriously as I was last year, but I think people are starting to wake up now. Like, wait a minute, this is an angle.
It's here,
a lot can get done.
If the deal closes, this is going to be our new reality. So better have to learn to live with it, whether you like it or not.
I'm just saying. So with that being said, and again, it'll be plenty more coverage in the future when we talk about what the Saudis would do. Just a side note, you were saying how many films Warner Brothers came out with last year? It was 11. They came out with 11 theatrical films. Now Paramount, I don't think they had that many. Let's see.
I doubt it.
Let's see, because this was when Skydance was, kind of moving their furniture in there. They only had 9. So between two, you had 20. So you're saying you need to up, definitely up. And maybe 25 is more doable.
Right.
He said 30.
It'll have to scale, but eventually it'll plateau at 30.
Yeah, and I think it's more of like an up to 30 type thing. But I mean, 20 is easily done. And I think they will try to get out even more with this partnership. So I would say 25, but hey, I'm not going to doubt the man if he says 30.
It's not going to be 30 year one, right? Like, they have to put this into production and make this happen.
If you take out last year from Warner Brothers, it has been kind of a downfall with Warner Brothers for several years in theaters leading up to 2025. And yeah, you ace out 2025 because you had Minecraft and One Battle After Another. These are like Oscar. That's an Oscar film. Sinners, Oscar film. Superman was down there, but it made a little money. But we ain't gonna fight about that right now. But it had several films last year. You take that 1 year out. Warner Brothers needed a boost like this, or even more investors. So having Paramount come in, so it's my point in saying this, Jules, is that I don't think Warner Bros. Could rely on that. Oh, we could just do what we did 2025 every year because they haven't before.
They have too much debt. And the thing too is while they had a lot of big hits or a good amount of big hits, they had a lot of misses. And it was really DeLuca and Abdi as producers that came through with the big hits this year. If it wasn't for them, you could forget about it. So again, sure, everybody keeps saying like, they did good this year. Why are they selling? You got to sell high,
Yeah. This was perfect timing.
Zaslav was pissed off at the beginning of the year because that were out at the time were doing terribly at the box office. Then the summer came, and then all the big blockbusters did what they had to do. Well, the ones that were produced by DeLuca and Abdi. Just make sure we differentiate that. But yeah, so you sell high. They can't continue on at the trajectory because they just have too much debt and they don't have those deep pockets to continue paying those bills. At the same time, Zaslav is going to become a billionaire after this deal. Like he's the one that will benefit the most out of every single player here. So makes sense for him to do what he did, create that bidding war. He got the share price where he wanted to as far as the sale is concerned. And now hopefully, if everything works out well, we'll be getting a ton of content moving forward.
Yeah, and if that's what Paramount is leading in, saying, we want to expand the content for even just their own IPs. They want to do more Transformers, G.I. Joe. A story came out the other day about that. Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, I want Paramount to be great. If they can get Star Trek together, hey, I give Ellison all the credit if he figures that out. So you add Warner Brothers to that, and then the IPs they're mentioning in the portfolio now. Now, again, these Paramount Skydance, they did the Top Gun Maverick. They have the Mission Impossible stuff. But then you add to that what Warner Brothers has, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and they mentioned the DC Universe. DC Universe. This is very interesting. And it makes sense. You have an untapped well with DC Universe. It's not just Batman, right? And you saw what Superman did that, didn't do as well as probably they would have wanted it to do. That should be a summer event when you do a DC movie, right? It shouldn't just be just another movie. Because even if people out there, if you like Superman 2025, it was just another movie, right? That's how it landed.
Yep.
We want events when you're talking about DC and then again, Harry Potter, Top Gun Maverick, Mission Impossible. Those are events. And this is what seeing Paramount pointing out these IPs in the same sentence. And I heard this before that they definitely are taking DC seriously. Does that come across to you that they're naming the biggest IPs, Game of Thrones, Mission Impossible, Harry Potter, Top Gun, DC Universe? I think they're taking it seriously.
Are we just going to ignore the biggest one on the list?
Oh, SpongeBob
SquarePants. Why is that on the list? Like, is there a SpongeBob SquarePants universe I don't know about? But anyway, that's
about to be.
That's funny.
It's about to be now.
Funny, yeah, right. Let's do some crossovers with Mission Impossible. But no, yeah, like the DCU. I mean, obviously, that is like you said, it has. I wouldn't even say it's untapped potential because that potential has been tapped.
It's been tapped. Yeah,
we've seen what it can do. It hasn't been honed. It hasn't been shown to its full potential yet. And I think everyone with eyeballs and half a brain can kind of see like, hey, Superman, wasn't the big hit that we thought it would, but the movies that came previously all, made over $600 million, right? Some of them almost hit $1 billion. So why didn't this Superman movie do that? So from an analytical standpoint, as a studio head, you're going to look at what worked before and what didn't work now. And obviously, like, maybe we should go do more of what came before that, because obviously that resonated more with people. And this is Warner Brothers, right? Like, one thing that almost all of these IPs that are mentioned in this list have is that big cinematic quality. Like, when you go watch them, there is great cinematography, there's great storylines, there's serious takes on these characters. And that's really what people want to see now. So hopefully we'll get more of that, and this will help put Warner Brothers back on the map to be that serious movie studio that we all grew up knowing and loving.
Definitely. I mean, like I said, you got to take DC seriously. The potential of the expansive universe, right? That's what's what we're saying as far as they want to take advantage of. So, because what James Gunn is doing now, this is filmed like a kind of like a stopgap, like a, almost like a substitute teacher type thing is what it feels like with DC right now. That, okay, Gunn, do some shows, keep DC's name out there. And yes, they did want to have that critical, they wanted to satisfy Rotten Tomatoes, and so
the critics.
It feels safe. It feels the Superman films felt really safe.
But then what did that hurt?
I mean,
their pockets.
It would, they could have gotten more. And I just think with DC, for it to be great overall, we can't just rely on Batman being the $1 billion thing. And that's what DC has been until Zack Snyder, but again, BVS had Batman. So I guess I answered my own question there. You can't just rely on just Batman. That's my point. And what James Gunn is doing right now, he's not going to have Batman and Man of Tomorrow. So I'm expecting just more of the same. I'm expecting run the mill, hold us over until Paramount moves in. This is what DC feels like.
That's what it's at. What we're at right now. It kind of feels like, daddy left the house because somebody cheated, right? And then now all of a sudden,
drastic.
Parents are the parents are working it out. They're getting back together, right? And it's like, oh, the family's gonna be together again. It's gonna be great. Kick the side chick out. She's just keeping the seat warm right now, right? So.
Oh, so James Gunn's the side chick. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Nobody wants him around. It's a placeholder.
That's the word I was looking for. He's more of like a placeholder. Let's expand the DC world. Let's do these little shows. Peacemaker. Supergirl.
Let's do the and it's kind of So this kind of makes a good question. Like, was it his decision to stick with the B, C, D, E, F tier characters? Because the only A tier character that he's really worked with is Superman. He's trying to get Batman off the ground, but for some reason that's just not happening. And of course, you have Reeves Batman that is obviously taking priority there between the two universes. He's talked about Wonder Woman. She's not coming in. They're finally doing something with Green Lantern, but it's not a movie. It's a TV show.
Right.
So it's like...
And there's no green. It's just lantern.
There's no green. It's just lantern with a sterling silver ring, and it's in the desert or something. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's like, it makes you wonder, like, did they not have full, complete trust in him? Was it a Gunn decision? Was it a studio decision?
So that's a loaded question. No, I'm just
right?
No, it's a couple, but it's an answer. It's an answer to it. But with Gunn, that placeholder mentality, this was realized as soon as he got hired, it was like, well, as soon as Black Adam didn't blow up and do what they wanted to do, and they wanted to build more into that world, and after the Flash film, when Black Adam tanked painfully, Zaslav did a 180 on what because they was going to bring Cavill back, Ben back. They were going to make some big films. He 180 and said, we're going to save money right now, actually. And we're not going to break the bank making several films going forward until we get new investors or we sell. So this was enacted. That's why I was telling people 5 years ago, me and Mikey Sutton, late great Mikey Sutton, we was talking about Zaz's plan to build the value in Warner Brothers and flip the company. Yep. This has always been the plan. Now, he was going to squeeze out more from DC with the SnyderVerse until, like I said, they felt like they were spending too much money and they were more in debt than they thought when they bought Warner Media. Mm-hmm. So you enact placeholder plan, bring in James Gunn, try to spend as less as possible on Superman, Supergirl, little shows.
Just do the minimum.
Until we get more money, somebody to come in to buy us or invest in us. That's what you got with Paramount. So this is why I say the future, because I do these things in like 2-4 year future blocks. Like last year, I was telling people about the Saudis. The beginning of 2025, I said, and I'm gonna bring that clip out later on my stream. I was like, the Saudis wants to be involved with Warner Brothers. That's where your deep pockets is going to come from. Now, it became Paramount and all the other sovereign nations. But the point is clear. Money is on the way to Warner Brothers now. That's what we have right now.
Yep.
Paramount is going to assume the debt from Warner Brothers. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be pretty interesting. So what's the plan now? James Gunn, is he automatically out? Well, Man of Tomorrow has to make some money to impress Paramount. That's Paramount's call. When they come into the door, if this closes by the end of this year, so we say early next year, Paramount's moving their furniture in, and they're saying, okay, we got Man of Tomorrow. He already shot it, so we'll go ahead and put it out. We're not going to tax write-offs. Go ahead and put it out, right? If it does mid, I think Gunn's out of there, right? Because more money's on the way, but they don't want to just put more of the same. They want to expand this DC universe. Now, if Gunn does hit it out of the park, then they're going to fund him more to do his DC. So just keep that in mind. With that, the plan right now, though, is to be a placeholder, keep our head over water until the new owners come in, 2027, which so happens that's the year Gunn's contract ends. So
right,
that's going to be
interesting.
Tomorrow
releases.
Yeah. So, but that's really what it's at. This is all was a stopgap situation where just Gunn get DC to the point where new owners come in. There's no coincidence to me that his contract ends in 2027.
Nope.
Because then accounts will be settled and things will be decided. Mm-hmm. And Paramount, I've covered this story several times, that they have already been recruiting creators to do DC projects. They've already been doing it before they even put this last bid in. They were already saying, hey, you know.
They were very confident this whole time. Even when everybody wrote them off, they were still like, no, we still got this. Like, there's still a chance. There's a room where there's a road. And they obviously had inside information that we all did not know. Because when we were over here, like, you know, like, damn, they didn't get it. Netflix is getting it. All right, so then, you know, whatever. We'll ride with Netflix. Let's just hope for the best and hope they do right by us fans. But meanwhile, Paramount was still in the kitchen cooking something up. And then here we are now. Now they're winning this thing. It looks like it. I would love to see the list of creators that they've reached out to and in what properties they want to offer them.
So the only angle I heard with as far as who they're reaching out to is that it's more of an Elseworld type thing. Like they just want DC event moments. This is what Paramount is talking about. Now, the whole shared universe thing. See, this is why I said, because people, they take it like it's like an either or thing. It's like, no, DC universe, you should be able to do multiverse. You do whatever.
But isn't that, not to bring up Snyder, but isn't that what Zack Snyder kind of wanted to do from the jump? Like, that was his idea. He'll make this Crisis, whatever. That's his shared universe. But then you still have all these little offshoots. Like, that's why we got the Joker, right? Like, that wasn't impacting him at all. No, you're correct. You're 100% correct. Is that Zach's approach was, I want to make this like multiple graphic novels, and then I have an ending point to the story, right? And so I do hope Paramount adopts that more, because people are so caught up in Marvel where you want to have, you know, all these different phases and all the same characters. And it's like, no, I think we need to get back to where, you know, there's an end point to these stories. It's a 6-year run, and then you do something else, you know, and everything doesn't have to connect and all that stuff. Like, so I hope Paramount has that point in mind. The furthest I heard is that it's about independent projects, and they will assess the connected universe that James Gunn has. They will assess that. And, you know, again, if all this closes in 2027, they're going to sit there and be looking, because a lot of people are putting a lot on Supergirl. And this is what I was trying to say as well, is that don't even worry. Like, Supergirl ain't going to do much, like, but that's not going to determine nothing. It's going to determine if you see Supergirl. You may not never see her again. Supergirl is just a placeholder film, just to hold.
These are placeholders.
Just to pick up a date.
These are exactly, because you got these. You got these theatrical back-end deals. You got to get some DC films in these theaters to collect, you know what I'm saying, these back-end deals as well, too. So they got to put something out there. You know, they don't want to spend too much. This is all sound like a placeholder universe. Now, again, when Paramount comes in, all the pressure is on Man of Tomorrow. It's probably going to be an insanely unfair pressure. But if it comes out, you know, just kind of limping a little bit, it's going to get executed. DC out. DOA with that, right? Now, saying that also means, hey, there's a chance it could probably make some money. I gotta put both sides out there.
Miracles do happen, so
not too many in my lifetime. So
I haven't seen any.
So I just thought this was very important, though. This press release with Paramount saying, like, hey, you know, we got, you know, this Harry Potter and all this stuff, you know, Game of Thrones, but man, DC Universe, Paramount is very serious about it, and I think. You know, James Gunn, Hey, like it was nice knowing you. No, just hey, put your best foot forward. He didn't start shooting Man of Tomorrow yet. You better make your next move better be your greatest move ever, because
he better call up all the favors. He better call up everybody that he knows that's talented to help him out.
Man,
this is his career is basically on the line.
Oh,
I mean, once Man of
DC
Tomorrow,
career.
Yeah. Once Man of Tomorrow flops, he'll just probably go crawling back to Feige, and they'll take him
back to Marvel. Yeah.
So whatever, he can stay where he's at.
And like I said, I mean, hey, like I said, miracles can happen. So let's say that miracle happens and Man of Tomorrow does over 800 million. Then I still think Paramount will be like, okay, man, that's cool. We'll fund one more. You kind of close out your saga. Right. Yeah. So because everyone gets trilogies, right? So that's all this is. This is a placeholder universe. I'm not expecting some 10-year plan from this. I think, again, Paramount, judging on what they've been, again, talking to other creators, they just want DC moments. They just want, Reeves will probably get it more films than Gunn when this all ends up. You know what I'm saying? So
they'll probably give him some Elseworlds villain arcs like they did with the Penguin, maybe some more TV shows like that.
Yeah, because everyone that was bidding on Warner Brothers, of course, wanted DC. Everyone loves what HBO is doing with Penguin, and things like that. So Reeves has the chance to stick around much longer. Actually, a better chance than James Gunn, coincidentally.
He's a much more critically acclaimed director also. So.
And Penguins, have you seen, I really don't ask you this live anymore. Have you seen Penguin?
I haven't even watched Daredevil. No, I haven't. I've been very busy lately.
Okay. I know you're busy.
More so than usual.
Your phone's always ringing and stuff, so I get it. But Penguin's a great show. It's just great entertainment, and that's what DC can be. Is it don't have to be just like a one genre type thing, world-ending story. You could have these, grounded stories. You know what I'm saying as well. And then you could do the big dark side stuff, but you better bring Zack Snyder to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to see dark side unless Snyder's attacked. I wanted to see the SnyderVerse finished. I want to see that concluded. But this is the thing too. We may not only just get the conclusion of the Justice League arc, we might also most likely now with the Saudis and their connection to Snyder get all the other films too. Remember, you used to always say, "Oh, they're gonna come. If he's coming back, he's coming back for all of it." Well, now he can come back for all of it, like the Batfleck movie. We can get a real Wonder Woman sequel. We can get a real Aquaman sequel. We can get Man of Steel 2 with the real Brainiac, not whatever the hell Gunn is trying to pick up over there. We'll see Deathstroke. We'll see the evolution of Lex Luthor that was supposed to be a big... We all hated his Lex in BVS. It was garbage. A lot of people hated it, though. Don't play with me. A lot of people hated it. But we saw his bit of evolution in Justice League. What was that going to look like, after that? Will we actually get a Legion of Doom film? I'd watch the hell out of a Legion of Doom film.
My goodness. Because, he was basically, it seemed like he was going to build. Oh, we know Zach's plan was him to build one. And, Julez, Julez an OG because she went back to an old quote from 2021, the Zack Snyder coming back for everything. That's a quote from the Social Network film.
I don't know.
That's where that meme came from. But the potential, and that's why you sparked something with me earlier when we was talking about the Saudis and that they, them being a part of this Warner Brothers deal, that they can too broker deals to, again, license stuff to their own studios. This could be a huge global thing where. And Zack Snyder just said this in a recent interview, which I'm going to cover on my channel real soon, is Zack has stuck to my DC is its own thing. Like it is. He said it verbatim. He said it doesn't interfere with James Gunn stuff at all. That's what Zack Snyder just said. So his DC can be multiple projects. His universe could be multiple projects. And I would love, like I said, to finish his 5-part arc and then give us our Flashpoint. I would love that to wrap up the story. That would be like the greatest arc in cinema history if you allow that to happen.
That many movies, those string of movies just back to back to back bangers. Like hell yeah! Like we all saw Snyder's Justice League during COVID when it came out on HBO Max, and everybody was just in awe, just complete and utter awe.
Everyone loved it.
everyone loved it. No one had anything bad to say about it. Of course, you have the haters here and there, but they were like, even they couldn't find anything bad to say. They, of course, they talk about the slow-mo and all the usual crap that they try to harp on. But everybody loved it. And everybody thought, oh, this is way too good. We're not going to get a sequel. And then here we are, 5 years later, still talking about it. Never got a sequel. So, sometimes the universe works in mysterious ways. Everybody, I feel like, kind of just manifested this possibility of Snyder really coming back and finishing his whole story.
I mean, it's so funny how this ended up. Is literally a week ago, we was like, it looks like Netflix, they're gonna try to get to this regulatory process and close this out, and we'll see what they do. We wanted Paramount, but and we're not sure about Zach's relationship with Netflix. It seems like people keep forgetting. Netflix has not said a peep about doing anything else with Zack Snyder since Scott Stuber left. So it was that uncertainty. And if for a week later we're back here, which we plan to have Julez here most Saturdays if possible, and we'll definitely have a lot to talk about with this Paramount deal. But we're here a week later, and just everything has went 180. Paramount's in, Netflix out. And with Paramount, again, it's the Saudis, and the SnyderVerse possibilities just goes up with that. It's kind of insane, actually, that
it actually is.
We're in this situation.
It's in a good way, though. It's amazing. Yeah. Like, if you are a Snyder fan or a fan of his movies or of this cinematic universe in general, because you can be a fan of the DCEU, but you don't really watch any of his other movies, right? It's more about the IP and liking what the director did with the IP rather than the director himself. If you were a fan and you wanted to see more, you should be elated right now. Like, no one should be more elated than you.
Than right? Snyder fans.
If you are looking for the continuation of DCEU and for Snyder to be the one to continue it, you should be over the moon. Like, this is what we've been waiting for like 10 years before, like, as soon as all the drama hit during the production of Justice League, right? So even before that, when the studio heads meddled into BVS and tried to make it more as lighthearted as possible, and Snyder did so much pushback. But we saw all the drama and politics behind the scenes until it finally came to a head, and they found a way to get rid of him, Justice League, and brought in Joss Whedon, and the rest is history, right? Like, we've gone through so much crap, and now we might end up still being victorious as fans if everything breaks the way that it should.
Yeah, just the structure of the company that's now, looking to own Warner Brothers, and through that DC, one of the investors in the company, minority stake owners, are huge fans of Zack Snyder. Like, this is it's crazy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't had this love like this at Warner Brothers. He had that at Netflix. The head of film, again, Scott Stuber, loves Zack Snyder. He worked with him on all the way back in the day on Dawn of the Dead. So it's that history. And he got Zack Snyder that great deal with Netflix. But after Stuber left, if people are honest with themselves, Snyder fans, y'all know things changed with Netflix. Y'all know that happened, and we were just trying to make the best of it. Like, okay, if they don't say it's dead, we got a chance. I know what we do, right? That's what we do. It's like, if they don't say nothing, then I'm not going to count it out. And we were waiting for Netflix. And now we got the situation with Paramount. Probably the best situation possible right now is, again, someone who has a stake in the company.
Yep.
Already said they love Zack Snyder, and they already have a deal with him. They're going to come out with that Brawler film.
Yeah. So you hit the nail on the head, Sil. People have to understand, studio executives come and go. If you're an owner, you ain't going anywhere unless you sell. So the fact that one of his good friends is a physical owner of the company, of these IPs, you don't think that that's the best outcome for him? That guy ain't leaving. If he loves Snyder's content, he's gonna just throw the bag at him. Oh, what do you want? All right, bro, I got you. Here's your money. Go make that movie. That's it.
I mean, literally, and he'd be like, okay, let me, let Paramount know what we're trying to do with this DC. They'll sign off on it. Okay, let's go shoot this movie. And then to be very, very clear, because I know people love semantics out there. Like, well, Sil and Julez, y'all didn't correctly say that sentence. Let's be clear. Turki Al-Sheikh, he's a part of the Saudi Arabia entertainment branch. He runs all the entertainment. He's setting up films like Brawler. He's also getting events like the WWE and things like that. That's what he does. He's an entertainment guy. So obviously the PIF, the Public Investment Fund, that's their funding to do entertainment. So I just want to make it very clear how we're saying this. Is Turki Al Sheikh the head of the PIF? No, he's the head of the entertainment branch under that investment fund. So when that I say that in general, because when I say his name, I use that loosely, and I say it's Turki Al Sheikh because he's the one that's going to make that deal to make the movie. Is my point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, of course, and of course, you're gonna have the haters always be like, "Oh, well, that's not exactly how things work out." Like,
that's not his title.
You people are being facetious. You know exactly what we need. For no reason. Like, come on.
Like, so when I say Turki Al Sheikh, because I covered this on a video. And then like a couple months go by, and you get another bot comes up. Well, but Turki Al Sheikh, he's not really head of this. Shut up, okay? All you gotta do is look it up. We're in the age of Google and AI. You can look up his role under the PIF, and he already announced again a film with Zack Snyder, Brawler. So he does make movie deals as well too. So
right, and I could, if I recall correctly, I do think some Saudis are part of the TKO group who owns UFC and WWE, which means they're working very closely together. And on that Brawler movie, they're spending a lot of time getting to know each other. So, and now they're just becoming even closer. And if Brawler makes a good amount of money, that's just going to strengthen that relationship even more. So they'll be super incentivized to give Snyder whatever he wants.
And that's that other angle, like I was saying that. Okay, they could do that IP, that one film IP under Paramount, but then they could be like, we could license out and do even more stuff with Zack Snyder. It's a lot of potential, is the point with this deal, and I'm all for it. Snyder fans, I feel you should all be all for it, and that's how we're gonna cover this going forward. Is that we want to see this out, seeing Paramount close this deal, and then it's a lot of potential. Final thing I want to cover with Julez here. Again, it's going to be some interesting conversations every week, I think. As long as Paramount's in this is going to be interesting.
First of all, I want to say I'm shocked you're using a comicbookmovie.com article, but no shade, though. This is where I started a lot of my online geekdom right here on CBM. I met some really cool people on here. I haven't been on there for probably at least a decade or more. But yeah, just shout out to CBM. Great community. Boy, they used to be a great place. We had a lot of DC versus Marvel wars in the comments. But at the same time, just warning, a lot of the writers sometimes tend to show for Marvel has been that way since I've been part of that website.
Yeah.
So, by the picture being used here, I'm assuming it's probably one of those writers.
Yeah, so it's like a full circle moment for you here. With this, they're bringing out a few things that people are talking about with this Paramount plan. First, as far as the DC angle, again, gun fans, and I do want to say this because I know this may not come across, especially with Julez on the panel, where she's like, "Hey, if Gunn got to die, he got to die.
But he got to go."
but I don't make the rules. I don't think Paramount automatically cancels out your universe, but I do feel it's a placeholder universe. I got to be honest when I say that. And I'm just saying this before we get to this article because people are feeling like, oh, is Gunn out automatically? We'll see.
Well, no, his movie is still in production, so.
I said miracles can happen, like you said. That was a great comment by you.
Listen, once Man of Tomorrow flops, it's perfect timing for his contract to expire, and it's a clean break for everybody. He didn't get fired, so his shows could say, there's ways, playing politics.
Isn't this perfectly set up though? Like his contract runs to 2027. They figured the deal will be closed. Even with Netflix, they figured it'd be closed by 2027.
They did,
and his contract is lined up perfectly where they could be like, "Hey, for DC, this ain't it," and they could just replace them. They don't have to extend them. This is a lame duck year. Like you rarely get lame duck years, and that's what James Gunn and Safran have. They have a lame duck year. I mean, that's just what it is.
Sucks for them, but they took the gamble. can't fault them for it. I would have taken the job too.
For sure.
If it's your opportunity to be a studio head, like who wouldn't jump at that, regardless of the parameters.
Yeah, and it's like if it's I'm just gonna be a placeholder guy. Like, hey, I'll do it. I'll do it for a couple of years. And I'm out of here. Okay, I'm out of here. Okay, so so it's all good. But this article touches on again the DC side of this, HBO Max and AI. Me and Jules, me and you never really touched on this, but I'm seeing people bringing up again. They having their different concerns. We talked about the politics. We talked about, do they have the money? Another thing I'm seeing people saying, Paramount's going to use too much AI. So we're going to talk about that in this article real quick here. I guess the first thing, I don't know if you saw this, but I heard this when Paramount was making their initial bids and stuff like that. What would be their plan for HBO Max and Paramount Plus? Is to combine everything into Paramount Plus, make it a super app. You have any thoughts with that? Like them just going to, if this closes, they're just going to absorb HBO and highlight it in Paramount Plus.
It's going to have to be one app. You're not going to have two apps for one company, especially everything under one umbrella.
Because Netflix was going to keep HBO Max separately for some reason. That sounded weird. Yeah,
that is weird. Because I'm thinking like I don't know that much about like app development, but if it works like a website, you have to have two different hosts for the apps to live on. Two different development teams and all that. That doesn't make any sense. Just put it all in one, like one team manage the whole thing, whatever. And it's one subscription, which I think people would prefer.
Right. And I think this is why this deal feels better too, as far as Paramount bringing Warner Bros. Together, because Netflix bringing HBO together, that is a premium streaming service monopoly. That would have been right. That would have been. I like how they were trying to argue against it and for it. But if you put Paramount Plus with HBO, that's a perfect match right there, and it's a better value for Paramount Plus users.
I mean, I would even like for them just to come up with a new name for the app itself, not necessarily just use Paramount, because I don't want them to not use like Paramount Pictures and Movies or Warner Brothers Pictures in the movies during the credits, but for the app, just so that it doesn't lean one way or another, just to keep it neutral, like just come up with a new name for that.
I wonder, like, if I owned, or like if I'm someone I bought a company and I end up owning HBO Max. You gotta have HBO in that name somewhere, like just branding wise. I just feel.
I mean, I would definitely have
highlight it.
HBO channel within the app, but I'm probably not gonna call the app HBO because not everything on that app is HBO produced. Because HBO is its own studio.
Yeah, no, that makes sense though. I think they can do like if it's like some kind of new name and saying you can, again, when you're marketing it. You gotta blast, the HBO, somewhere.
Oh, that'll definitely be part of it. Like you're just gonna name all the brands within, all the studio brands within the app itself. Like that's what's gonna sell it.
Yeah. So I'm all for that. All for that overall, and I don't think too many people are against that. Because like I said, I didn't like. I was just trying to hear what Netflix was saying. Like Netflix was like, HBO will be over there, and then we're still Netflix, and I was just like, this feels.
I think that was just BS too, because again, we know Ted was just saying all kinds of
everything,
just to get the deal done. Eventually, we know it would have just been one app. They're not going to be spending extra dollars to keep maintaining two different apps. Like, let's be for real.
But the AI angle, this really was the last point I was trying to bring up, is there has been talks that Paramount and really a lot of tech companies, they're leaning more into AI. Even the government, Trump signed a bill pushing more research into AI. And for some, of all things to be worried about with this potential deal, this is just another one of those things where you already don't like Paramount. You didn't like, you rather Netflix to get it. But since Paramount's getting it, now AI is a problem. I guess, where do you kind of stand with that? Because we really haven't talked about AI being implemented. Obviously, I don't think we want to erase people's jobs, but AI as a tool, I guess, what's your thought on that?
As someone who uses AI basically almost on a daily now, again, it's a tool, and the tool is only as good as its user, the person submitting the prompts, and you have to really be able to know how to communicate with the AI to really try and get the best results. That being said, this is obviously a very sensitive topic, especially in Hollywood, because we don't want AI taking writers' jobs. We don't want them taking like the CGI, the graphic artists' jobs, right? And it shouldn't. However, we don't know to what extent AI is going to be used for or in. Like we see it in every company now is utilizing AI technology in some form or fashion. You brought up the White House. I think we just found out they were using Claude in some of their military defense stuff. I don't know why or when that happened, but now they completely they found out there were some security concerns and they got rid of Claude, and now they just brought in OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. So again, just going back to how Paramount would be using it, it could be used to analyze data, right? Like you can input or upload some of the data in there and try to figure out what, just based on the trajectory, what would be the most popular or the best bet for the next film. What demographics would it hit? Things like that. Just looking at the data and analytics.
So analytics, okay.
Right. That's one way to do it. You can do it just to clean up text, right? Make sure the tone is correct, or you know, what's that word? Make sure the tone is the same throughout, right? Consistent. Things like that. There's so many uses to AI. That doesn't mean that AI is actually going to be writing all the scripts. We know AI is not good enough to write scripts.
See, this is the thing, because people get so extreme with this AI, and I've told people, like, just on my platform, just how I cut videos and stuff. I've been using AI for the past like 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, when you can guide the tool, like that's what, you know, now AI, would I want to just like produce another one of me and they do the show? Like I could take a break, I guess, if I could do an AI, but it wouldn't be. I look at, okay, it was a string of videos online. I think it was, what was that C Dance, or what was that program? Where they were having like Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. They were recreating, putting things together.
Yeah, and I think Warner Brothers, some studios shut it down, so now they stopped.
Yeah, and even with those, because it's more of a likeness thing. That was the problem. If you actually look at what it was producing, it was soulless. Like it wasn't like a coherent, dialogue-driven type thing. Because that's what movies are. Movies ain't just purely visuals a part of it, but there's a story with it, right? And so, like, you had someone that had Terminator fighting the Predator, and it was like, okay, this looks cool visually. But then people looked, they said, you know what? Like, why is I think someone was like, there was like a purist. It was like, well, the Terminator doesn't move like that, and the Predator wouldn't do this. And so it's like, if you're not guiding the AI, it's soulless, in my opinion. You know, Absolutely. And then as far as like people, thinking it's going to write scripts, you see the BS articles, you could tell, like, oh, okay, this person's using AI, because I see
you can obviously tell
how they're talking, right? So we know that's not what Paramount's like. Oh, we're going to use AI so we can replace people in the movie and write all the scripts. It's like,
no, it's a tool.
Come on, y'all being kind of silly out there, thinking that's what it means. The analytics side, I like how you brought that up, where it can obviously help as far as on the analytical nature. Also, too, it can help in production, where you can have an AI set. So you still have your actors and everywhere, but you don't have to go over to UK all the time or something to make the film.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can have a sound house in California or something. So it's like, it can help with cutting costs, with travel costs, and again, production. The VFX side, I do wonder if we're talking about this again just being a tool, then those VFX people can use that as a tool. I don't think you can replace them. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you definitely can't replace them, but you can definitely. So one thing that Hollywood has suffered from recently, and this was a big thing with Marvel a few years back, was when the VFX artists came out and they were like, they're pushing us too hard, and the budgets are too constrained, and they can't make these release dates, and that's why we were getting those floating heads and looking all weird and all that crap, especially during the pandemic. Well, AI can help with that. They can basically create the image, and then the VFX artists just do the cleanup work, or vice versa, right? Like there's different ways that they can use AI. That doesn't mean that they're going to be replacing humans.
Right.
It's a tool, again, at the end of the day, and it's made to make our lives easier and more efficient.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of different programs, wherever people have been using the last couple of years, you've already been using AI. So all this, fear mongering out there, like, oh, AI is going to take over. It's like you're already using it.
It's too late. You can't put it back in the box. Like,
right.
It's here. It's gonna stay. It's just a matter of how much power are we gonna let it have.
And at the end of the day, with these films and productions, it's about quality too. And so you still need that human eye, no matter what, with this.
Yep.
To cut these projects. So the fact that Paramount and David Ellison, he's saying he wants to lean more into AI. Again, it's not to replace people. Don't be. It's that whole facetious thing you were talking about. It's like, come on, you know what he means. Like, don't be like, oh, see, he's against humans. Okay.
Right.
He's a human, you idiot. So it's like, what are you talking about? But I hope we address again just some of those concerns that people have. And again, this is not me, or I'm not going to speak for Julez. This is not me saying this is a perfect deal. No, I'm sure you can find some flaws in this, and I'm open to talk about any of that, but at the bare minimum of all this, being Snyder fans, this was the best outcome for us to have a chance at more SnyderVerse, because again, just strictly off the relationship that Zach, the lack thereof, he's had with Netflix the last couple of years, and the potential relationship with the new minority stake owners in Paramount. That's the difference.
Not only that, but we also know that he's definitely hated at Warner Brothers themselves for whatever reason. Politics be damned. So there was no way he was ever going to go back to Warner Brothers. I mean, Warner Brothers even lost Nolan. Didn't he go to Paramount? Like, he's with Paramount now too.
But Universal.
Or Universal. Okay. Yeah, he left. So Warner Brothers used to be like the director-friendly studio, filmmaker-friendly studio. They're not anymore. They burnt a lot of bridges. And we know that whole environment is just extremely toxic. Would Netflix have fixed that? No, Netflix has its own toxicity situation going on too internally. We have studio heads that come and go. We have certain projects that get prioritized over others. You get projects that completely get its legs cut off, midway, whether it's popular or not. But then at Paramount, you have a chance to create something new, right? Because you have new ownership coming in. They've just put in all this money into it. They want to see it thrive. And they're going to give us what we want because they want us to consume their content, because they need the profits. They need our money. But yeah, and then just going back to the relationship with Snyder, like you mentioned, this is the best case scenario. There was no other scenario that was better than this. And yeah, maybe if it was 3 years ago, the Netflix deal might have made sense when that Stuber guy was there, because he used to champion Zack Snyder. He's gone. Dan Lin is in, and all these other people are in. Dan Lin is not a Snyder fan. We know this. This is well documented. So I don't know why people are crying about this. If you're a Snyder fan, you should be elated. Like I said earlier in the stream, you should be having tears of joy that there's a chance that SnyderVerse is being restored, regardless of whatever online social media campaigning you're running personally. If it's about Snyder, if it's truly genuinely about Snyder, then you should be happy.
Yeah. If it's about Snyder, because the other side of the scenario, if Netflix would have got this done, that uncertainty that we expressed every week, and just today when we're saying Zach's relationship with Netflix, that wasn't in the bag. Like, if Netflix would have won this, you know what I mean? It's just like I would have felt like, man, okay, Netflix owns Warner Brothers now. Are they going to call Zach? Like, it's that uncertainty. Because I know his boy at Paramount or the Saudis, I know he's going to hit up Zack Snyder as soon as this closes.
I'm sure he hit him up already. I mean, Zach, if they were already calling up different filmmakers for different movies, he speaks to Zach regularly on Brawlers. You think they go to him, hey, what's going on with that? Do you still want to do that? Do you, whatever, I really like the universe, but who knows what the conversation was like. But we know there's a good chance that it was brought up at some point. And for Zach, he knows the fandom. Like, he'd be throwing everybody nuggets from time to time. And like his whole barrage of social media posts, he opened up an Instagram account just to do all these SnyderVerse drops. And then you have, everybody, a lot of the other actors that were in it engaging with it and sometimes posting their own stuff. So, I mean, the writing is on the wall, guys. If Snyder's happy, and you really want, in your main priority is getting this universe restored, and you see Snyder is happy about how things are going, then you should be happy too. Like, why are you causing drama?
I'm saying, if it's about Zach, that's where this starts and ends. And Zach, he said in his latest interview, He's never going to tell us to stop pushing for it because we've done the impossible before. The fandom, really helped him, get the Snyder Cut out. And so he's not going to rule out, the continuation ever again. So this was the best option, y'all. Just of the two choices that we had. I mean, there could be a more perfect choice out there that we don't know. But right now, what was presented to us, Netflix, Paramount was the best option. Mm-hmm. And we have fallen into the situation where we could do the impossible again.
Yeah, I mean, I truly don't think that there was a better option when it came to Snyder. Like everything else, if everything else falls by the wayside, if your number one and only priority is getting the SnyderVerse restored, there was no other outcome that would have been better than this one.
Yeah. Just of the choices presented. And so again, is that us saying we 100% guarantee it's going to happen? Well, no, I can't 100% say anything until I hear it directly. Then I would say 100%.
No, until the deal is done and it's announced that it's official, the Ellisons own Warner Brothers Discovery. Until then, I'm not going to celebrate. We've been burned before. How many times?
Yeah. Inside I'm celebrating a little bit, but
a little bit, yeah. It's a little win, but we still have a little bit of ways to go. Hopefully by the end, they said fall, right? Fall to end of the year. So after the summer, we should be seeing something.
Yeah, next step is right now. I mean, the official deal was signed, so that's great, right? Warner Brothers isn't going to back out of this or something, so that's good. That's on paper. So now the next step is to get this closed. They keep saying 6 months, which is rare. Normally it takes at least a year, sometimes 2 years for this stuff. This is a full-on merger, really is a absorption. But so this is a big deal for the regulatory process, though they feel it'll be a little more easier than Netflix, what they were going to face with that. For them presenting this confidence, saying 6 months, that's taking us to the end of the summer, early fall. That's the next huge checkpoint, because if that's closed by then, I'm really going to feel good about a lot of stuff. We
can start getting some announcements made. Though it will be interesting to see if they do announce anything DC related outside of Gunn's universe while we're waiting for Man of Tomorrow to come out, because are they going to just let it just die in the water? Because any announcement that comes out, especially if it's a Snyder related announcement that is being revived, anything Gunn does is going to be, like you said, DOA. Even worse than it is right now. Like, it's not looking good right now, but if they announce something, it'll just make it way worse. It'll be like, oh, who cares? We don't need to see that crap. We're waiting for Snyder's movie to come out.
I think, and this is me just speculating right now, I think if Paramount, this closes and they're in the building by the end of this year, going into early next year, I think it's going to be kind of a status quo year next year, actually.
Yep.
Now, you got to, okay, Man of Tomorrow's already shot. Okay, go and put it out there. We'll see what it does, right? We'll market it a little bit. Batman for sure, yeah. Let's see what Batman Part 2 does. So next year is going to be interesting. They can really gauge how they want to steer things. If Man of Tomorrow doesn't do what it needs to do and Batman does pretty good, I think we expect some kind of indication next fall. That's what I'm feeling as far as with Paramount. And now obviously stuff will probably leak out before that. Obviously, if Man of Tomorrow bombs, like that first week, we'll probably hear like, hey, we actually plan on doing,
but we're announcing this. So like, surprise, we've been working on this in the back end, for the past year.
Yeah. So
got scripts ready to go and everything.
But I think there's going to be a lot of excitement, if and when this closes, and then next year it's like we're just going to, kind of see how things roll out with Man of Tomorrow, Batman Part 2, and then I'm expecting haymakers of announcements for DC, and I would feel that it would include Zack Snyder with it overall. So there'll still be some patience involved, but that's just kind of our timeline right now. Is we're waiting for this to close this fall, and we'll be covering it all the way up to that point, and then we'll have a live party after it closes.
We might have to. I mean, we're gonna remain cautiously optimistic because again, anything can happen from now until the end of the year. Still a lot of time left. Like you mentioned, the whole regulatory process, I don't think it's gonna be a big deal. Apparently, they already did a lot of the legwork before the deal got approved, or before they entered commitment to do us just negotiate between them two. So the regulatory process, they might not have to go through the whole interviews and all that crap that Ted Sarandos was just had to endure. He didn't look very comfortable there.
He didn't at all. They were grilling that dude. They was asking him some dumb questions, but
they always do.
Yeah,
they don't know what they're talking about.
He was that was the crap show there. But he was trying to hold his own, and then he was just kind of starting to say anything at this point. He's like, I don't know, Superman sucked. I mean,
but I didn't mean it that way.
It's like, bro, what's going on? They getting to you, Sarandos. But they out of here now. So with Paramount, like I said, we're going to be waiting to see when that closes, and then it'll be more details and stuff coming out throughout this year. Me and Julez will be touching on that, and other entertainment items. So as we phase on out of this one.